Hey everybody, ViGeeMan here, and welcome to episode 11 of ViGeeMan's Adventure. Woo! Yeah, it's been so long. Yeah, let's go. First things first, why has it been so long since the last ViGeeMan's Adventure? Well, if you remember at the end of the last episode, if you were even watching the video, it said I needed more footage. I needed to record more footage. I didn't have enough, because I talked a little bit too long for the footage that I had, so I had to get an hour more of footage, which takes 3 hours because it's ×3 speed, and 3 hours of digging is very killing on the brain, but I did it. But the thing is I did that about a month ago, and you're saying, why didn't you just record it then? Well, I didn't have enough topics. I only had 3 small little topics that are in this episode, but I didn't have enough to fill up that hour. So, over time I added more topics, and when I was about to do it, I was like, I have too many topics. Like now there's a big problem where I have too many topics. Well, I could just put that in episode 12, but I was like, I'm really bored of digging, and just the digging of the episodes. I want to get back to survival, start building again. I want to build Venice. I've wanted to do it for so long, and I just need to finish digging out, and I don't want to do a whole nother episode. So for some reason in my mind it made more sense. Okay, let's just dig it out and put it all in one episode. Even though it'll be completely, I'll still have to do all the same work. It's just for you guys, it'll be one episode, and then I can finally finish it. So I finished the digging. I did all the digging, plus the 3 hours that I did for that hour-long footage. It's 4.5 hours past that. So what I'm going to do for this episode, I'm going to talk for an hour. It's going to be the normal 3 times speed, that original footage. And then that 4.5 hours of digging, whatever is left of that hour of me talking, I'm going to put it all in. Say I talk for an hour and 10 minutes. In those last 10 minutes, it's going to be 4.5 hours of footage in those 10 minutes, which is insane. But say it's an hour and 30 minutes, then in those 30 minutes it would be 9 times speed. But anyway, so yeah, it took 4.5 hours to finish it, but I did finish it. And at the end of this episode, you're gonna see a small little clip what I'm gonna do for the next ViGeeMan's Adventure, that I think I did pretty well, but I'm not sure. So, anyway, that's where ViGeeMan's Adventure has been. Things about the channel. ViGeeMan's Adventure hasn't come out in 4 months, so a lot of stuff has happened. One, Tomb Raider ended. Just decided to finish the game, record it all, put it all up. I actually said at the beginning of each episode, welcome back to episode blank, instead of just it cutting to it, which I was pretty proud about. I mean, it's nothing to brag about or anything, but just something to say. And so that finished. I like about Tomb Raider is it's kind of open world, yet it's kind of has a path. You can go wherever you want, but to advance the game, you have to go to a certain place, which is a lot like a lot of other games. But I like it about Tomb Raider, it's because it's natural. It's a place you've never been. It's not like a city, like in Spider-Man 3 for the Wii. I remember this because it was the first game that I got on the Wii, and it was besides Wii Sports, because that just comes with the Wii, but it's you could explore all of New York City, but if you went to this one certain place, then it would advance the story, and you would have to fight somebody, or do something, or deliver something. So, yeah, that's what I like about Tomb Raider. But it's very natural, and it's an unknown place, and you can explore. But the bad thing about Tomb Raider is if you want to 100% that game, which is something I like to do, it's always a challenge I like to do, well, you have to be devoted, man, because there are GPS caches, and you gotta upgrade all your weapons, you gotta find all the XP, upgrade, your levels and skills and stuff. It's just, a ton of, hidden things, secret tombs, which are like their own little levels in themselves because they take so long. It would be insane just to 100% complete it. I only 60% completed it, so that means 40% of the actual game is not the story. It's just secret stuff, which is pretty crazy. I also got some secret stuff, like I got a GPS cache every once in a while, you know. But I enjoyed it. It took a while, but I enjoyed it. A lot of UHCs has happened. The last one was 9.5. I'm correct. I'm gonna check that real quickly because I don't know if it was 9.5. Did we do a 9.5? I think we did. Wow. Oh no, we didn't do a 9.5. No, we did. We did, but I didn't record it because I didn't have enough space on my drive. But anyway, yeah. So season 9. If you want spoilers, it's happened so long ago. Just watch it. I don't care. I don't care about you. So there's ViGeeMan's Adventure. Okay, so season 7. Oh yeah, I lost that. I lost Kevin early in season 7. Killed Connor. Joey won in the end. It was a 1v1 against Garrig, I think, in the end. And then episode 8. I don't know. Oh, it was me, William, and Joey on a team? Yeah. Oh no, it was me. Never mind, it was me, Connor, and Joey on a team. But then that was the one with the really sad ending because we were all focused on Dayton and they had strength potions. Strength 1 because strength 2. And then season 8.5. Don't know why we did that. Oh yeah, it was a test for an idea that we did with the glass above our heads. And I joined Dayton and Garrick. I joined their team. I was alone. And we lost to Joey and Blake. Because, I don't know. Season 9, that was a fun season. We won in the end. It's a 3v2. So we kind of had an advantage. But it was pretty cool. Then, yeah, we did Noscos. Noscos, fun game. I'm just looking through it. This is like probably the most boring thing you've ever heard. We did a CSGO match. Oh, yes, against Sweeps and Octu. Yes, please. Oh, I remember. So Sweeps is a rival clan at the other school in our county. There's also people from Octu that are there, or my friend group that are there. But there's Squeeps versus Octu. We are Octu. So the first map we were on Mirage, and we did pretty good. We almost won, but we kind of lost it. But then it was really close. 16-14, extremely close. Could have gone either way. I mean, Joey's not good at Mirage. I'm not good at Cobblestone. Dayton's not good at Cash. So I mean, it's just like an all around. Like on each map, we were kind of down one player because it's not that good. So Mirage, it was really close. I mean, just like probably one round would have won it. If we won it, we would have just at least gotten 16-14 us or something like that. It was very close. If we had gone into a tie, we wouldn't have known what to do. We didn't discuss anything, so I guess it's good that in the end it wasn't a tie. And then map 2 was Cash. We destroyed them, 16-9 on that. Not really destroyed, but we did really good against them. And then came map 3, so it was 1v1, or a 1-on-1 score-wise, and then map 3, Cobblestone came. Okay, I would just like to say that, they had 2 roster changes. So, in the first maps, they had 4 players, like our rank, or maybe a little bit higher. Then they had Makers, who was like, way better than us on skill level. But in Cobblestone, they had 2 people that were way better than us at skill level because they did some roster changes. It was also the next day, so no one was really in the CSGO mood. We didn't really warm up. we weren't in the same mode, I guess. I mean, it all seems like excuses. I mean, they did better, but the reason is because Cobblestone's a very strategic map. There's lots of little places you can go and stuff. But the thing is, what they did is they rushed through Underpass and A Long, because they are definitely better gunners than us. The reason we won cash is because we're way better strategics. Like, I mean, we're good at strategy, they're better at guns. I think that's the best way you can put it. And Cobblestone is normally a, strategy map because there's lots of different ways you can go. But they rushed, turned it into a gun map, made us, push, or made us fight really early while we were still coming up with strategy. Like, in Mirage and Cash, there's walls that they have to go through. With Cobblestone, there's a giant courtyard there, and with B, there's, like, museum, where they can just, and, like, the choke point of man drop and stuff. So they turned it into a gun map, so they destroyed us. We didn't want Dust 2 because that's just a gun map. There's not a lot of strategy you can put into that map. It's very simple, so it's very gunny, if you know what I mean. So yeah, CSGO, UHC Season 10. We haven't done that yet, just might as well say it. I already have the map already. I've had the map already for a long time, but we haven't done it. I think, honestly, we can do it probably for one last get-go, everybody together. But I think after that, no one's really gonna care, except, like, me, Joey, Blake, Garrick, and Josh. They're all, like, the real UHC people. Like, we're always hyped about UHC. We always like it. So it's just the 5 of us. Yeah, me, Joey, Blake, Josh, and Garrick. Yeah, 5 of us who could do UHC. We'd probably drag Kevin in, but, honestly, Season 10's probably gonna be the last big one, whenever we do that. And also, after Season 10 for UHC, I'm going to have a UHC montage of all the UHCs that we've done, all the funny moments, all the fights. Probably like a 20-minute episode, or 20-minute video, because that'll kind of signify the end of the big UHCs. Like, honestly, it's not gonna, unless there's some revival of Minecraft, because a lot of people have given up on it. But I haven't. I'm still going with it because, this isn't written down, but I think I'm done with the channel stuff. But to start off, the thing about Minecraft is I think that, in order to enjoy Minecraft for a long time, you gotta build. I mean, in mining's fun and all for some people. I mean, I kind of like it, but I really don't like mobs. Like, I like mining in peaceful mode, even though I've only done peaceful mode like twice. But I kind of like mining, but I mean, people who only mine, Joey's a big miner, so is Garrick. Like, if you mine, once you get the best stuff, you get the best stuff. I mean, you did it. As soon as you get the protection for stuff, you're invincible. Diamond armor, you're invincible. You can't get hurt by anything. The only way you can possibly die is if your armor breaks or you fall into the void. That's the only thing. Or redstone people. I mean, you can build a ton of stuff in survival Minecraft, but you gotta get the redstone. Like, if you're into mining, you gotta get the redstone, but you need a lot of redstone, just a lot of different pieces together. And the thing about building is you can build anything in Minecraft. I mean, yeah, with some redstone you can build even more stuff, but you can build anything in Minecraft, and really building can only be judged by you, especially. But if you're on like a multiplayer server, then you have to build it. But if you want to have Minecraft in your heart for a long time, building is one of the ways to go. Because, building's just, you can always come with a new idea you can do. Fantasy, I've never built a castle. I kind of want to build a castle. I've done lots of clouds. I'm good at clouds. well, not good, but I just like building them. I've never built a castle. I've built a mansion for Garrig. He didn't really thank me ever for that mansion. I mean, I guess that's just my point of view since I am a builder. But I think building is like, there's no end to it. Like mining, you can get all the good stuff. PvP, you can get really good at PvP. And, redstone, it's just a lot of work. And the final product, you may never use. I mean, you can build all the automatic farms. But if you're going to build like a clock, like what's the point of a clock in survival? Creative though, redstone, that's good. You can like make maps and stuff, which is I'm kind of into that. I'm the redstoner. I like redstone, but I also like building, so it's good. That's good for me. So to start off, I've ranted for like 15 minutes, I think, or 10 minutes. I don't know when I started, but I've been ranting about just random things. I haven't even gotten to the list. The list is an upside down world. What is an upside down world? Well, if you think about it, you got, gravity would work upside down. Like, buildings would go up, and when you look up, you would see the ground, or is it that way? Would you really just still see the sky, because the sky is flipped again? But would the earth be facing inward now? But if it goes with that idea, then all the magma and the mantle is on the outside, so that means all of space is inside the earth. But that's, of course, relative to us. If you're talking about it upside down earth, you could just talk about, the South Pole is now the North Pole, and the North Pole is now the South Pole. That could be considered an upside down earth. You're talking about the ground wise, upside down would be everything's facing inward. Or if you're talking about the universe, I don't know how you can do that. Just flip it. Flip the whole entire thing 180 degrees. But of course you wouldn't feel anything different. You would still, it's all different relative to something. If you look at the world upside down, would anything really be different? Nothing would really be different, would it? Depends on how you look at it. That's just like a little thing to start it off, make you start thinking. So, summer has started. Yeah, I don't know why I included that, but whatever. Summer has started. And the reason this school year was strange. This term, at least. As it was coming to a close, it was weird. I didn't feel excited for summer. I don't know if it was just me growing up. In the olden days, it's like, oh, summer's coming. It's like, oh my god, summer's out. But, in high school, it doesn't seem that way. It's just like, oh, summer's here. Oh, I get to do nothing, It's weird on my mind. I'm not having to worry about anything. I'm not having to worry about homework or anything. Or grades or anything. All the grades are final. I can't do anything about them right now. Everything's just done. I don't know what to do. I'm just bored. But the reason I bring it up is because the reason I couldn't wait for summer, I just wanted summer to be here, is because I want my next classes. Because this term, my first term for freshman year was really fun. I had technical drawing and design, which isn't really that fun. That's with AutoCAD programs, and it's like architectural stuff. I'm good at it, but it's not a fun thing to do. And then I had science. I love science. We learned about space, and geology was kind of weird. It's is it a rock or is it not a rock? And most of the time it's not, but when it is, when it is, it's crazy. It's a rock. That wasn't really fun, but I just like science in general. I had history with my favorite teacher, Mr. Fife Dog. That's not his name, it's Mr. Pfeiffer, but we call him Fife Dog. And he's just the best teacher ever, and he always made things really cool. And then math. I like math. Not math. Math has just always been a fun thing. It's always clicked in my head, so I've always rolled through math, but it's going to start getting more difficult, and I'm going to have to start, really studying for tests. Like, normally I don't really study, or maybe just, like, look at it a little bit, but I'm gonna have to start, because it's gonna start getting really hard, unless I, really get it, and it's not gonna be hard for some reason, and it's gonna be super easy, but I don't know. I ain't there yet. So, that was my first term. I loved it. But then the second term comes. I have graphic imaging, which is a fun class. It's like having to do with animating and logos and, Photoshop and Illustrator and Adobe Flash and all those. And it was fun. I wish that was in my term one, because that would have been amazing. That would have been like the best term ever. But it was in term two, so I had a little bit of fun. That was first block. And then I had gym. I mean, gym's okay. I mean, it was boring. I mean, we did a bunch of stuff, and I was always defense, because I can't offense at all, no matter what it was. I was always defense, because defense is my home ground. It's where I do my best. Defense. It's always fun doing some defense. And then I had... I'm talking about something. I was talking about graphic. Oh, yeah. Mine's just... I had English. No one likes English. I mean, apparently I'm... Well, okay, I'll talk about it. I had English, and then I had French. Okay, so there's 3 stories with the term... This term, with gym, English, and French. So, with gym, at the beginning of the year when we got our schedules, before the school year started, we got our schedules. Me and Kevin, one of the people that goes to my high school, it's only me, Kevin, Tim, and Jordan and Aiden. We recently added, that sounds weird, but Aiden, he's a cool guy. So we added all those are the only people. So Kevin would have been with gym with me, and also would have been with lunch with me. And that would have been real swish, because, in 8th grade, he was with gym with me, and it was rad. So was Tim, but Tim had first block gym this year. So he would have been with me. But he sees in his 3rd block, I believe, that he has Mr. Pfeiffer, the best English history teacher ever, but it's not honors. He wanted honors. I guess he put it down wrong, or they just put him in the wrong class. Doesn't matter. He wasn't in honors. So they put him... So he wanted to change to honors. That's all fine and dandy, but the only honors period he had was period 2, where gym was for me. So he had to move gym to 3rd block. So now we don't have... Then we don't have lunch together, and then we don't have gym together, and that's... He basically ditched me. Well, always nag him for it, because he basically ditched me for honors. He just wanted honors, and he left me for it. We always joke about that he left me just for some silly honors. And what's even more ironic is the first day of gym, when I'm alone and I have no one to speak to, he, my teacher, or my coach, was like, okay, we're gonna order you all now, and I would have sat right next to Kevin in our squads. Right next to him. We would have talked, but no, he had to ditch me. I'm joking, Kevin, don't freak out. It's a joke. It's just, we know you didn't actually leave me. You wanted the honors class. I get it. It's fine. You don't have to bring it up, okay? And then Jim was lonely without him. So that's the story for Jim. Would have been with Kevin. Didn't. Was kind of lonely. He was also lonely during gym. He told me multiple times. It's just so sad. So anyway, that was gym. And then English. So apparently in English, I'm really good at interpreting stuff. Oh, the curtains are blue, symbolizing the depression that the character is feeling. And no one really likes English for that reason. But apparently I'm really good at that. Apparently, I don't know why, but I'm pretty good at that. So I was sick for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, like a week or two ago. I was sick. And when I came back, Mrs. Major, my English teacher, was like, "Hey, Steven's back. Finally, my Steven's back." And I was like, "Okay, wow, weird. What do you mean by that?" And she's like, "Well, you're always raising your hand in class, and you always know what to say, and always get it right. So I'm just excited because the past 3 days have been very quiet. It's like, if no one knows the answer, I can always fall back on you, sort of thing." And I was like, thanks, because apparently I'm good at that. Hopefully I continue to be good at that, because that's good grades and everything, and, and apparently I'm good at writing papers too. I don't know, but I'm good at that. Woo! So that's my story for English. I was good at it, and she didn't want me to leave, but I did, because I have to move on. I'm sorry, Mrs. Major, but I must move on. So, 1, 2, and then the third class, French. Okay, so here's the dealio with French. So, there's 2 French teachers at my school. There's Madame Hutt and Madame Chastain. Madame Hutt is a fun French teacher. You can easily get 100 and over 100 in her class. It's extremely easy. Grade-wise, it's the best thing ever. So I had her in middle school. And she was pretty fun. Got really good grades. It was all good and tingly, And it was all fun and positive, but then, I didn't get in her class. I got in Madame Chastain's class. Kevin got in her class, but I didn't get in her class. Another thing I'm upset about. So I didn't get into her class. I got in Madame Chastain. Madame Chastain works at a middle school for the first 3 blocks. I mean, for her it's like periods 1 through 6, but she works there, and then she comes over for 4th block, the only block she works here at the high school. She comes over and teaches French too, and I'm in her class. I'm one of the people in her class. So we got through, there's 10 chapters in the French textbook, and we got through all of them in Madame Chastain. And when we were in like chapter 8 or something, I asked Kevin, like, what chapter are you on in French right now? Like, just to see if we were ahead or they were ahead. And he says that Madame Hutt doesn't really teach by chapters. Like, she teaches the material and the vocab. It's not really like follow the book sort of thing, which is better than following the book in some ways, more fun at least. So I was like, okay, what did you just learn? And said he learned the future tense. The future tense was he was learning the pronouns. He was learning pronouns, and that's back in like chapter 5. It's nearly the end of the year. It's like a month away, and they're halfway through the book. Like, what? Chapter 4 actually. They were in chapter 4, whatever they were learning the month before end of school. I was like, what? Have you learned the subjunctive? Have you learned the subjunctive? I've already forgot the, subjunctive. There's the, conditional, that's it. Like, the future tense, you still haven't learned all those. Like, what are you gonna do? So, and he's like, I don't know. Because the thing is there's only one French 3 teacher, and that's Madame Hutt. So, when I take French 3 next year, I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to know a lot more? Is she going to teach the second half of French 2, then start with French 3? Because the thing is, for Kevin, and because they don't care at all, because they're just going to have Madame Hutt next year, so it really doesn't matter. Because it's going to be an extremely easy class, they'll get 100, doesn't really matter. If we don't learn all the French, it doesn't really matter. And I'm like, hey dude, I just learned all of French 2. I want to learn some French 3. I don't want to be learning the second half of French 2, which is really just a ton of tenses, which is not fun. And I'm like, dude, what am I going to do? So is she going to teach French 3 and all of the class except everyone in my Madame Chastain class is going to be super confused because they don't know the conditional or subjunctive or anything. I mean, they do know the future or the imparfait. I mean, they do know the imparfait. That was an early on thing, but they still gotta learn a ton of vocab too. It's gonna be super difficult. And like French 3, you're supposed to speak French a lot. Like, it's not mainly English. Well, I mean, I don't know how Madame Hutt will be about that, because Madame Chastain was kind of strict some days about, you only have to talk about French. So I don't know. Is she going to teach French 2, the second half of French 2 again, and I'm going to just have to relearn it? And everyone else in the class is not going to care except like me and the people in Madame Chastain's class. They're going to be like, hey, I learned this already, and I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to have to wait until next year, see what happens with that. So that was summer. And I want to talk, so that's why I can't wait till summer, because next year I'm going to have science and math again, and history. I doubled up on science. Okay, so there's a governor school thing. It's like an advanced school. It looks really good on your resume or diploma, whatever. Either one. It goes to governor school. That looks really good to colleges that he went to governor school. It's like a higher school, I guess. And you can only go there, well, I think you can go there sophomore year, but mainly there's some prerequisites that you need in order to take it. So at governor school, next year I take biology and chemistry. At governor school, they don't teach chemistry. I want to get into governor school junior year, because it's a bad thing to do it only in senior year, because then like the college, when you're applying to college, it's like, oh, you just started it, I only know your first quarter grade of this class. Like, I don't know how well you're doing. If you do in in junior year, everybody's like, okay, I see that you got like all A's or all B's or whatever, like an AAB in this governor's school for junior year. You did really good in that. I like that. Where only if you do it senior year, it's like, oh, I only know your first quarter grade. I mean, maybe you're only learning easy stuff. If you do it both, then that's pretty good, like, junior and senior, because they see that you did really good junior, so they're just gonna expect you to do good senior. And really, the second half, like, if you get accepted to a college, you can just like crap on everything. You don't really have to do anything because you're already in the college. They can't deny you unless you do something terrible. Like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you get a B final or C final, it's like, oh, it's too bad. Like, narcs, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but it's still a good idea to do the best you can. So yeah, I want to get into governor school junior year. And the thing is you do not need chemistry to get in, but governor school doesn't offer chemistry. If you go with the regular schedule that I would have done, you would have chemistry while you're doing governor school. And the thing about governor school is there are some classes that don't require chemistry, but it's a really, really good idea. I mean, it's just better. Like, I mean, if you take calculus in high school, like, this is just a side note, if you take calculus in high school, it's a good idea to take calculus again in college, because one, it's a less class you don't have to worry about. Two, you're going into college, it's a new environment. Yeah, and it's like, and calculus is also kind of a little bit hard, so it's a good thing to relearn it. Make sure you know something. Make sure you don't accidentally forget something. It's just a good idea because, I mean, you don't have to. If you take high school, you can go into college 2, or not college 2, calculus. I meant calculus in high school. If you do calculus 2 or whatever they call it something. But if you take calculus, it's a good idea to take calculus again in college, because it's just one less class you have to worry about. It's a good idea to remember it. You're going into college. I mean, it's a new environment you don't know. Like, everybody, one, unless you know, like, maybe your roommate and you don't know a lot of stuff. It's just like, if you can, it's good. I mean, if you want to get ahead of everybody and you think you have a good firm grasp on calculus, then yeah, go with the next level up. But I'm just gonna do calculus unless I get calculus. I'm gonna do calculus again because it'll be review, but also it'll be more fun and maybe I'll learn more stuff. You never know. So anyway, I want to get into governor school junior year. So they don't offer chemistry. In some classes, it's not a prerequisite, but it's a good idea to know chemistry. So, like the calculus thing, I just want to be prepared. Why not take 2 sciences next year? I mean, I like science for one. 2, it's, biology and chemistry seem like interesting things. I mean, I probably won't like them because, it deals with chemicals and, like, lots of chemicals and stuff, and I'm not really good at that. But, we'll see. Like, I already did it. And my counselor, advisor, whatever you want to call them, like, suggested it to me because, it's like, it's like, you seem like a very good student. It seems like, even if you didn't double up on science, it would have looked you would have still done well in those governor school classes. But one, it makes you a better chance to get accepted into governor school because it's kind of a competition thing. Except, last year, it was last year only like 30 people applied and they need 30 people, so it was weird. Like, just everybody got accepted. You were basically guaranteed. I think one person didn't get accepted. I think that's how it went. Or from at least Falk year. So I guess that's pretty cool. So, like, it's a higher chance of you getting accepted into governor school. If you like science, it's just still a good idea. I mean, like, why not get ahead of everybody? Because, everybody else is doing it. So, and also, I'm doing it because Kong, one of my friends, and just like a bunch of my high school friends or my Falk year high school friends are all going there too. So it's pretty swish. We all got like our little posse there. So I'm just doing it for the lols. I didn't really want any other elective. Like, I already got... I'm going to go through with graphic imaging because that's all fun and stuff. I'm going to do the 4 years of that, so I at least need 1 elective. I'm going to do French 3. I don't know if I'm going to go to French 4. Here's the thing, because French 3... If I do French 3, like, if I do French 3 and I like it, like, it works out, Madam Hut, and, like, it works out, I actually learn everything in French 3, then I'll move on to French 4 because I'll like it. But really, I only need French 3 to get the advanced diploma, or just a diploma in general, I think, but the advanced diploma, and it depends on if I like it or not. Whatever. It's also French 4 and French AP dual enrollment courses, so you do have to pay for those, but it does give you more chances, which is pretty good. Pretty swish. So that's everything about school, I think I want to talk about. So I want to talk about something that boggles my mind. I've said this a lot of times, but I have a lot of things that boggle my mind. And I think I've already talked about this, is how much space there is. I have talked about this, but I remember it. But, okay, if you look at it, the speed of light is insane, but it is finite. It's like, you look at it, 186,000 miles. We're going miles because I'm America. 186,000 miles per second. That's like insane, but it's not so much insane depending on how large the universe is. A light year. So you talk about a light nanosecond. A light nanosecond, a billionth of a second, is about 11 inches and 11.75 inches. It's almost a foot. but it's like 11.75 inches, which is pretty cool. So like if you're like 5 feet away from somebody, you could be like, oh, I'm 5 light nanoseconds away from you. But the thing is that's a nanosecond is a foot, a billion feet is just a second. Basically, almost a billion feet is a second. It's kind of lower than that. So you can travel a billion feet in a second, and then the sun is like 8.5 light minutes away. So it's not only just a billion feet now, it's like a billion times, like, it's a billion times, like, it's 60 times 8 times 30, which is like, no, or no, it wouldn't be times 60 times 8.5, whatever. But that's like just an insane distance, 186,000 miles times 60 times 8.5, whatever that is. I don't even want to calculate that, but that's the distance we are away from the sun. And the sun is this huge thing. It's massive, it's unbelievably huge, but it's so far away. It's only like a little tiny thing in our sky. It's still super bright, but it's still this little tiny thing in the sky. Like the moon, not compared to the Earth, but it's still huge. And it's like only a little bit, it's only like a few light seconds, I think, away. Or like 1 light second, I don't know. Some amount of light seconds. Maybe even less than that, I don't know. But it's big, but it's not as big as the sun. But that's still only like a little thing. It's like the same size as the moon. Dude, that's just insane. But anyway, so you look at the sun, and that's like a ton of distance away. You got yourself a light second, but that's like light minutes. But then you see our closest star, the closest star to us, to our sun, and us, technically, is a light year. You look at a light year, that's some insane distance. You got your light second, which is already 186,000 miles, and then you times that by 3,600, that just gives you an hour, and then you times that by, 24, that gives you a day. Times up by 365.24, or 26.26, and that gives you that insane distance. And then our closest star to us is 4 million of those. So you times that by 4 million, and then you look at a picture of the Milky Way galaxy, which we don't even have, but like a visualization of it, and you see our little sun next to that little star. Our closest little star, that insane distance is that little tiny space, and then you look at the entire width of the Milky Way, and that's just a galaxy. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen the Hubble telescope picture of like that 1 little centimeter square in the sky. Like if you were to extend your hand and point at a point, it would be like a little centimeter square, like a centimeter by a centimeter square of space. They took a picture, and that is filled with galaxies, and you see the width of that galaxy of just our galaxy, which is not even the biggest of the galaxies, and then you see that amazing distance, and then you see a ton of these in Earth, but then there's tons of space in between those. It's just so big, and that's like only all the light that has reached us. It's probably way different from now. I mean, like, the farthest star we've ever seen is 7 billion light years away, I think. But that means the light that is coming from that is 7 billion years old. So it means it's not even there. Probably. It's probably long gone. Like, if we were to see the stars actually how they were, if the speed of light was infinite, it just went from there to there, which would be super cool, then we would see a completely different sky than we do right now. And this also brings up a little thing with the speed of light. So if you say you're 5 light nanoseconds away from someone, you're 5 feet away from somebody, whatever they do, like say they wave at you, or they like like they do some quick motion. Whatever motion they did happened 5 light nanoseconds before it hit your head. I mean, there is the process of your brain, like a few milliseconds of your brain trying to figure out like what's happening. But a few nanoseconds ahead of like they waved their hand and it was 5 nanoseconds ago when the light actually hit your eye, which is inconceivable, but it's still calculatable and you can still find it, but we can't notice it all, but you can use it with numbers and find it, but it's still like extremely little. And so this brings up a thing. So everything is always delayed, meaning one, we never see thing as the present. Also meaning we can never predict the future unless we find something that moves faster than the speed of light. Like not a photon, but just something faster in some way, travels faster than the speed of light that we can capture in some way, like we can in some way capture light. I mean, it's not really, but well, I guess we can. I don't know how you can. I think we can. But anyway, so there is always if there is amount of space between two things, there's going to be some delay in light, because light has no mass. So even if two things are so incredibly close, but they're not touching, it takes some amount of time. So even two atoms that are right next to each other, their electronic fields are not letting them touch because they can't. It's impossible. If they were to touch, nothing, like, I don't even know, but they can't touch. But there is some amount of space, so small, but there is some amount of space in between there, meaning some amount of time that is probably uncalculatable because it's so freaking small, but it is. And if we tried our hardest, we could probably calculate it. It's so small, it takes light some amount of time, meaning even that atom is not seeing that atom, quote unquote, seeing that next atom in the present. It's delayed just the smallest amount of time, but it is delayed. It's not zero. God, that kills me. That just really kills me. How much space there is and how you just can't tell the future. It's impossible. And also you just can't tell the present, what's happening in the present right now. You can think you know what's happening, but really in the present, nothing's happening because there's always space in between things. So I want to bring up something that's about numbers that isn't even on the list, but it's just a cool thing that I liked about numbers. You see, I think I've already talked about this, but okay, there's two ways to look at it. If you have, what's a third? It's 0.3 repeating, right? And you times that by 3, you say it's 1. It's 3/3, but if you do it mathematically, it's 0.9 repeating. And if you look at it, that there is a number in between every two numbers, anything, there is no number between 1 and 0.9 repeating. There is none. So that must mean they're either both not numbers, even though they are, or they're the same number. So 0.9 repeating and 1 are the same number, but they're not. They're obviously not. There is some amount of numerical space in between them, but there's not, because of the same thing. But, there's two ways to look at it. There's 1, because if you do 1 minus 0.9 repeating, it's not 0.1, because there's the 0.9 before the first, like the second digit of 0.9, so it's not 0.01, it's not 0.0001, it's 0.0 infinitely down there. There's some end, there's a 1 that can be added, but the thing is, it's infinitely down there, so it can never be reached. So 1, it can never be proved, and 2, it's so small that it could never change any calculation. If it's 0.0 repeating and then 1 at the end, there's no way to change it. Like, it wouldn't add any mathematical value, so I guess you could say 1 minus 0.9 repeating is 0, because it's just 1 minus itself. But they're completely different numbers, but they're the same. Like, you look at 1 and 0.9 repeating, and you're like, they're different. They're two different numbers, but they're not. They're not in any way. I hate that. Not really hate that, but just the, like, ugh. It's, why can't it work out that 0.3 repeating times 3 is 1? But it is. It is 1, but it's 0.9 repeating at the same time, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, using all the mathematical properties. And then if you do 1 plus 0.9 repeating, it's 1.9 repeating, but it's also 2 at the same time. So technically, you could say I'm 0.9, I'm 99.9 repeating % done with this project. And that's basically saying it's 1. You're 100% done. You're completely done with the project. I just wanted to put that in because it still boggles my mind. Those are two things that boggle my mind. Okay, so there's a question that I want to say that everyone has asked me. Or not everyone has asked me. Everyone has asked once in their life who's ever played Minecraft. What if real life was like Minecraft? And now I know what you're all thinking. You're all thinking like, oh, like everything's made of blocks and you gotta punch wood to make a crafting table and your fist would be all bloody and stuff. Oh, that'd be terrible. No, I'm not talking about the physical aspect of Minecraft. I'm talking about the mechanical. I am talking about the mechanical aspect of Minecraft. Okay, so say you just spawn one day. You know nothing else. You know nothing. You spawn into the Minecraft menu screen. The only thing you can see is a menu screen because you don't know anything else. All you know is if you move forward, which you can somehow naturally do without learning it, you move forward and you can hit the single player button. But if you look at it, it's like that's the only thing you know. There is no X at the top right or the top left, depending if you have a Mac or something. There is no X at the top of the screen. It's just there. You have to do something. And it may take you forever, but you finally hit single player. And then you just hit play or create new world and you just play it. And you have to learn everything. And you just get hurt. And you respawn. That's a big thing about Minecraft. And you respawn and you have to punch wood and all the fun things and everything's made of blocks and you have to learn everything. But thing is you can hit escape. Or you can go to the main menu. I don't know how it would work in real life, but you could go to the main menu at any time and go to multiplayer. And you can play with people. You can go on mini games and play fun things, and you can, show off things to people. I don't know how chat would work or if you could talk at all. One second. Okay, I'm back. Alright, I just heard a noise and I was just checking if something fell. But nothing fell. So if you see Minecraft in real life, you could go to multiplayer and you could show off things, or you could be in single player and you could just walk around and appreciate something you built. But here's the thing, and you may like mining, but you have to do it to get resources. You may not like it and you have to do it, or you may hate building, but you can strive to get better at it, or you can make maps and show it off to people and hope it gets popular. I mean, if life was Minecraft and you couldn't die, you would never die, what happens? How can you get bored? That's the thing. Can you get bored with Minecraft? I'm not talking about real life. Oh man, I'm bored in real life. That's not how it works. In real life, you just have you can do something. It's oh, I'm bored of Minecraft. I'll exit out of it and do something else. But in Minecraft, you can be I'm bored of single player. Let me do something else. But you can't just sit at the home screen and do something. You can't eat something. You can't sleep without a bed. You can't eat without cooked pork chops or whatever. Something like that. You can't do anything really without playing Minecraft, and that's the only thing you know. If that's the only thing you know, can you get bored? You can get bored of something, but, you know, like, in real life, you're just like, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, I'm just gonna sit here. But in Minecraft, you can't just sit there. You can't, like, I mean, you can be AFK, but what are you gonna be AFK doing? You're just gonna be standing there? No, you can't. Are you just gonna cut down the whole forest? Like, your whole life, your perception of time would be completely different. There's no day and night unless you're in a world. You can make it so it's only day in a mini game server. You can get really good at swinging your sword, but it'll be super cool because it's real life, but you'll be really good at swinging your sword and stuff. And you'd be great at PvP, but you, like, how could you get bored at all? And could you get bored? I mean, you could be, like, thinking about doing something else, but you really can't do something else besides Minecraft. Like, there's only a certain amount of things you can do in Minecraft. I mean, you can build anything, but you can still have to build something. Like, you can build mine, you know, like I was saying earlier, you can build mine, really anything. Like redstone, or you just could go on mini games. But those are the only categories you can do. If you don't want to do any of those, you can't do anything. You can't exit out and watch a YouTube video. You can't go and eat something without going into survival world. You can't just be bored. You can be bored of something, but you can't be bored in survival. It's like, oh, what should I do? Like, I mean, you could just chillax in the house that you made, and you could lay down on the bench that you made, or whatever. You could build a city. You can build a castle. You can show it off to people somehow if you put it somewhere. I don't know. But, like, could you get bored? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not even talking about blocks or physical. It's like, oh, you can punch wood. No. I'm saying, could you get bored? What if like the mechanics of life were like Minecraft? Where, like, the only thing, like, you could build a computer. Like, I'm sure after a while it'd be like humans. You would build something like a computer or something for entertainment. Besides mini games, you would build, like, the internet somehow. You would incorporate it into the game. You would just invent something new. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's pretty hard to see, like, would you be bored or not? I don't think you would be bored. I think, well, I mean, me from a builder standpoint, I think I would just build all the time because I wouldn't know anything else. Then I can build. And, like, how would you talk to each other? You would have to create, it's like a new species or something, you know? So, I was thinking a few days ago, what if you didn't need to sleep? What if you just didn't need to restore your energy enough? Like, I mean, still, if you worked out, you would get tired, but if you just, like, stood there, or if you, like, laid down and you just rested, but you couldn't go to sleep, you didn't need it. Your body didn't have the reaction to close your eyes and dream about something, or nightmares, or whatever, or try to solve something, because you would never be low on energy while sleeping. Like, I mean, if you stay up long enough, your eyes start getting droopy, you start, like, being able to can't do stuff. But if we didn't need to sleep, if we found some medicine or something that jump boosted our like, I mean, you could still sleep, but it wouldn't need it. Like, it wasn't like a form of caffeine, but it was something good for your body that would just make it so you had the energy. Like, I mean, sleeping is really just like regaining energy. Like, you've already spent all your energy throughout the day, and, like, you spent your energy trying to convert food into energy and stuff like that. But if we just created a medicine where you didn't have, like, you would just take it whenever you were tired, you would feel hyped up, like, not like caffeine wise, but just like more energy, so you wouldn't have to go to sleep. I think that way you would always have your work done. You would always get things done, because if you didn't have work or whatever, or if you didn't have to sleep, you would always have time. Like, think about how much time you spend sleeping, just in general. It's like a third of your life or something. If you could get that third back and just work, you could instead. And what if you were the only one that had to sleep? First, I'm gonna say, like, you could get up at like 4 a.m. Well, you didn't even have to get up. There would be, okay, first, I'm going on a rant here. But first, I'm gonna say, what if you're the only one that had this ability? You didn't need to sleep. You wouldn't need a bedroom, for one, because you didn't have, like, you wouldn't need a bedroom because there's no need for a bed. I mean, you can have your room that you can do anything else in, but you wouldn't need a bed, though. Two, you could get up, not even get up, but just, like, go 4 a.m., you could just, like, walk around. Could you get bored doing that? I'm sure you could, because this is real life. We're humans, we can do that, get bored really easily. There's nothing you need to do during the time, but, like, homework-wise, bang, easy, done. But the thing is, everyone did it. There's lots of benefits and not benefits. I mean, school would probably be extended, because now you have 24 hours a day to do something. I mean, like, you could, like, instead of it's like, oh, gotta have dinner, now you would have 4 meals a day. So it's like, it'd be like your midnight snack, but it would be midnight. We couldn't change the earth from, like, going day-night. So if you didn't have to sleep, one, you wouldn't need bedrooms. No one would need bedrooms, so there'd be a ton more space, because you don't need, like, oh, it's a 3-bedroom house. No, it's like, you have a lot more room for stuff. You don't need to build these big houses where, like, a fourth or third of the rooms are bedrooms. You could have, like, rooms that could be, like, put to a certain person, but it wouldn't need to be a bedroom, because it wouldn't need a bed. But if everybody had it, school would be longer. And you could have, like, late night games. Wouldn't be like, oh man, I have to play at 8. It's like, oh, I have to just play at 8. It would be like a normal talking. I mean, there'd be a lot more jobs, for one, because there'd be different shifts. I mean, you would get bored of a job, so it's not like 8-hour shifts. You could do that 3 times a day. And, like, and it wouldn't get anybody's time. Like, if you work 9 hours right now, it's like you have to sleep during the day, otherwise you're bored, and it really conflicts with a ton of people's schedules. Like, if you have friends who don't work at the night shift, like, they're going out to party, it's like, oh no, man, I gotta work. It's like, oh, and everybody's like hyped out, hey, you want to come to my party? It's like, no, man, I gotta sleep. But if everyone did that, then there would be 3 8-hour shifts. You could have more time to work. You wouldn't be extremely, like, tired in the weekend, because you wouldn't have to sleep in, because you didn't have to sleep. I mean, you could rest. You could, like, lay down, and you could sleep, but you didn't have to. You didn't feel drowsy enough to do it. Like, I mean, it's like if you just played, like, an 8-hour soccer game, and for some reason you do that 8 hours, and you're extremely tired, then yeah, but it's just like, for a person that just sits around all day, aka me, but a person that just sits around all day, what are you going to have to do? Like, what are you doing that is physically draining you, but you still have to go to sleep at night? But you don't, because you don't need sleep. So it's much more interesting, much more fun to do because of that. So, okay, so I just want to say something right here. If you didn't have any sleep, that's a pretty cool thing. But, okay, so Kevin, the whole thing with... No, I'm not talking directly to Kevin, but I'm just talking about Kevin. There was the whole thing with the gym thing, all the joke and stuff. So, okay, I think it was in 8th grade at some time. Some test or something. Some math test or something like that. Whoops, hit my mic. If you needed, what am I saying? Oh, yeah. Okay, so, not if you needed, I'm on the track of the sleep right now. But we had a test in 8th grade, and in my mind, it was pretty hard, right? And so, we were discussing the test, and I was talking to Kevin, And I was like, yeah, the test was pretty hard. And he says to me, it wasn't hard, it was challenging. And, now everyone says to him that challenging, it's a big joke now, but challenging is the same as hard. Like, it's like you can't say it's not hard and it's challenging because they're the same thing. And then Kevin's like, no, it's not the same thing. So there's 4 ways that I've been thinking about this lately, and there's 4 ways to look at it. And by the way, right now it should be like getting to the very sped up part right now, depending on how long this video takes, because I got a little bit of stuff to say afterwards. So challenging, there's 4 ways to look at it. If you look at challenging, okay, what does challenging mean? Well, if you look, challenging means something that brings up a challenge, right? That just makes sense. Challenging. This is challenging. It brings up a challenge to me. Now, there's 2 ways to look at it. If you're looking at challenge as in something that's a problem, like anything that's a problem. I need to make a sandwich. That is a challenge, but it's an easy challenge. Like, anyone can make a sandwich. I mean, it's pretty easy. Or it's a challenge that I need to get 4 hours of sleep, at least 4 hours of sleep tonight. It's an easy challenge because, it's pretty easy to sleep for 4 hours. Not unless you had to sleep, but, But if you look at a challenge as anything that's a problem that can be solved, then challenging is not hard. If you look at it, it's like, oh, it wasn't hard, it was challenging. But by saying it's challenging, it means it was a problem. But you never said it was easy, difficult, or hard. You can't say it's not hard and then say it's a problem. It's like it provided a problem. It's like it wasn't hard, it provided a problem. You can't say that. I mean, sure, in that sense, challenging and hard are not the same thing, but you still can't say it like that. It wasn't hard. Oh my gosh, I got a Steam message. Don't want that right now, but it's like you can't say it wasn't hard, it was challenging in that sense, because like you're just using it as challenging as it's like it wasn't a hard problem, it was just a problem. It's like, what kind of problem was it? It's like, in his mind, when he took the test, he was trying to say that it was not hard. It was like not as hard as I was saying it was hard. Like, I don't know how you can really, like a meh. Like, it wasn't easy, it wasn't medium, it was like in between medium and hard. And so there's one way to look at it. A challenge is a problem. Then there's the definition of challenge. A challenge, if you look it up, I'll even look it up just so I don't mess up, A challenge, okay, there's lots of different definitions, but the one we're looking for is, there's like to challenge someone, speak the truth, invite someone to a contest. 1 second, where is it? Oh, okay, a task or situation that tests someone's abilities. That's the definition of challenge. Okay, no, wait. Before I say that, so you know how you look at challenge like a problem, like something you need to solve. But there's also, in my mind, when I think of a challenge, I think of something that's hard. Like, just a hard challenge. Like, oh god, the mega challenge. Oh, this is gonna be difficult. It's like, oh, this was challenging. I think it was hard. That's just in my mind, though. So there's that. I'm just saying that. So definition is a task or situation that tests someone's abilities. Now, there's also a way to look at this. There's 2 ways to look at this. If you look at this definition as any task or situation that tests someone's abilities. This task of making a sandwich tests my abilities if I can get out the bread, slather with some mayonnaise or something, and get your ham and your lettuce and cheese. Like, it's testing all my abilities. Can I do that? Then it's really any problem. It's back to the problem thing. Any task or situation that tests someone's abilities. So it doesn't really matter. Or it doesn't really matter in that way. Because it's like, it was any task, so you can't say it wasn't hard. It was, again, it was a task or situation that tested my abilities, That's not saying it was hard. Or if in your mind, if you're looking at it this way, or in anyone's mind and you're looking at it this way, it's not, you can't just call it not hard and then say it's a test. And also, the synonyms for challenge is a difficult task. I'm just going to say that, but I mean, that's just a synonym. That's not what it actually is. But also, if you look at the definition as in something that tests someone's abilities, is really something that's difficult. It's going to be something that's difficult in that way. Like, oh man, this was it was challenging. That means like, oh, it was difficult. It was a situation that tested my abilities of math, like a test, basically. Yeah. Basically, a challenge is a test in a way, if you look at it that way. So still, you can't say it's not hard, it's challenging, but not in the way that challenging and hard are the same way. Now, if you were just to go up to someone and ask, what's the definition of a challenge? I would say a lot of people would say something that's difficult, like something that provided effort to you. And there's also two ways to look at that. I mean, anything requires effort, or if you're talking about like a lot amount of effort. So if you go up to someone and say, hey, what's the definition of challenge? I think a lot of people would say something that's difficult, just like right off the bat, because that's how I think everyone, or the majority of society has been taught. That's what the definition of a challenge is, or something that is challenging. So there's two more ways that I found. So the first way was it was a problem. Second way, if you look at the definitions, or if you just ask someone the definition. The third one is if it's a broad group. If you're looking at challenging, like this one I kind of came up with my own. It's probably not even thinking about it this way, or was thinking about it this way. But if you look at challenging, like it's a broad group, and hard is a challenging or hard is a broad group of something, and challenging is very specific. It's like it's not green, it's lime. It's still green, but it's not just green, it's lime. So it's like saying it's not hard as in very, like, broad. Hard can be like it's in multiple terms. It's challenging, which is much more specific than hard. Like, it's like if you could say hard broadens as difficult, challenging, I don't know, like something bad, straining, something like that. You could call it something like that. But if you call it that way, it still doesn't work, because you can't say it's not something bigger and then call it something specific in that bigger group. You can't call it not green, because that means it's any other color besides green. But lime is green, it's just specific green. Or a nice turquoise, which is kind of green-blue. I wouldn't really consider that green, but so if you even look at it that way, it doesn't work. But the only way I could see that you could say it's not hard, it's challenging, is if in your mind it was made, or in anyone's mind that says this, it was made that challenging, like the way he was just taught it throughout his life, or it's just how his mind works, or somebody's mind works. It's like, if you look at the levels of what I'm gonna say, how like hard this was, it was pretty easy, pretty meh, medium, and then you go through it. I would say like it was medium. If I were to say it, and I think in Kevin's mind it was like medium, challenging, hard, extremely difficult, unmade. So in his mind, the levels of difficulty, challenging is below hard, because it's just the way he was taught it. In my mind, and everybody else in Octu's mind, it was taught that challenging and hard are the same thing. But in all these situations, except the broad group one, or except, like, if you look at it like a problem, they're not the same thing. It depends on how you look at it. If a challenge is a problem that's anything, then it can be hard, but it's not. It's like saying it's not. It's like it's saying it's not hard, it was just a problem. You can't say that, but they're not the same thing in that situation. Unless you look at a problem or a challenge as in something that was hard, then they are the same thing. But I think in Kevin's mind, when he thinks what a challenge is, or just anyone who was taught that challenging and hard were different things, that when you look at a challenge, the word challenge, you don't think something that's hard, but you don't think it's just anything. You think it's like below hard. It's like challenging. It's below hard, but like above medium. It's like on the hardness scale, Mo's hardness scale, it's like a 6 or a 7. If 10 was like difficult, and 8 was hard, and 5 was medium, 6 or 7 would be challenging, or a challenge. But I think just it really comes down to, in his mind, it was the way he was taught it, or how anybody was taught it. But I mean, I just think it's so overwhelmingly no one agrees with him, is because everyone else was taught that way, that challenging and hard, because no one here, or all the definitions of challenging, look it up, challenging definition, challenging, tests one's abilities. Bang. That's it. I mean, there you go. It's something that tests one's abilities. That's it. Now, the synonyms for it are demanding, something that's demanding, stimulating, difficult, tough, hard, formidable, strenuous, grueling, you know? But, like, and the antonyms are easy, so I mean, but those are just the synonyms. I mean, it could mean the same thing, but it's close to the same thing. Like, I mean, I'm sure if you look up, like, I don't know, just something that is, like, if I were to look up hard synonyms, solid, requiring a great deal of effort or endurance. Man, there are a lot of different forms. There's a season. But nowhere here does it say challenging as one of their difficult. Or maybe that's just because hard has so many different definitions. Let's say difficult. Difficult, needing much effort. Hard, complicated, unfathomable, confusing. There's nothing here that says challenging. So, I mean, if you look at it the other way, then challenging. If you look at it from challenging synonyms, it's like hard, difficult stuff. But if you look at hard, difficult, there's no challenging. So it's just the way you look at it, I guess. I mean, I still believe that challenging means hard, something that's hard, because that's just, how I've been taught, and it just makes sense. It's on the same level. But I think Kevin meant it as just something that was easier than hard, but not medium, like, just in between those. Dying here with my voice. So I had a vacation to Pennsylvania a little while back, and I don't know if I should talk about it or not. I'll talk about it a little bit. I mean, I went to Gettysburg. It's pretty cool. We got this little DVD. It was like, alright, turn left onto this road, and it like simulated battle sounds. It's like pew 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 pew. It had like a bunch of cool stuff in it. But at one point we made a wrong turn. So we're like driving through this town, and it's like, here to your left you see the battlefield where Stonewall Jackson Stonewall Jackson wasn't there, but I mean, well, maybe he was actually. I don't know, whatever. I don't remember that. I didn't really learn a lot from that tour or battles because like halfway through it we got on the wrong track. So you see to your left, it's like a bunch of shops and stuff, and it's like, here's where the mighty, like ow, God, that hurts so much. I hit my thumb. It's like, oh, the mighty, like, General Doofus took out the great General John. So we're like driving to town. So we just kept listening to it as we went to the next city, which was York, Pennsylvania. And we went to a Yingling factory, which is a type of beer company that my dad loves. And we're like driving through the city. And we're like, dude, this place is like, it's like kind of like, if you've ever been to San Francisco, it's like very steep. And like lots of little like run-down houses. It looks like a terrible place. Like very ghetto-ish, just in a way. And you're like driving through, it's like, are you sure this is the place? And it's like, yeah, Siri's telling me to go left. And you turn to the left, and you see this little tiny alcove where it's like Yingling Tours. It's like, oh. So we go in, it's this full-fledged factory. The reason it's there is because it started in the Prohibition era. So it's like, that's where everything was started. Pretty cool. And then we went to a pretzel factory. No, we went to a chocolate factory. Wilbur's Chocolate. Almost Willy Wonka, but it's not Wilbur. And we saw him make chocolate. It's pretty cool. And then we went to the first place pretzels were made. Sturgis Pretzels in Pennsylvania. And we saw their factory and we made some pretzels, and mine looked terrible. It didn't even look like a pretzel. But it was pretty good, pretty fun, pretty swishlings, and we learned a bunch of stuff. It was really small little tour, small little place, but it was cool. And then we went to the Harley Davidson factory where I got this pen that bends. It's so cool. We went to the Harley Davidson factory, and it's like, oh yeah, just move around, flow with the go, or go with the flow, not flow. Oh my God. And then we went to Baltimore to the National Aquarium. That was cool. Everybody was kind of tired of the trip, so we just walked through everything. We could have seen the dolphins, but it was like, we had to wait there for 30 minutes. It's like, nah, let's just get home. There's not much else we can do, so might as well just go home. And that was my vacation. We also went to Monticello. Pretty swish place. Oh man, we had the best tour guide ever. Okay, so I don't even remember his name, because it was this really Irish name, but he was just like this old guy who was just obsessed with Thomas Jefferson, and he talked really softly, but he talked loudly at the same time. It was like a very kind voice, but it sounded like he knew what he was talking about. It's like, don't try to go against this guy. And like, he would always like compliment the house, and he knew so much about the architecture and knew what everything was called, just knew everything about the family, and he was just so cool. And he just made you feel like it's like, it would always look to the top left when he was about to say something. Like when he's thinking about something, always look to the top left, he's like contemplating, and then he goes right back into it. And he was just like, he was always jumping around, and he was really giddy. It was so cool. I just like want to be him. He seems like he just really enjoys his job, even though he's just a tour guide at Monticello, but he seems to really enjoy it, so I like that. I like that he likes it. He likes it a lot. So, okay, so so I wrote this. This was the first thing on the list, but I have no idea what I meant by this. Well, I kind of have an idea. So, you know how you can make pronouns, like me, you, and everything, you can make them possessive, like my, or it's like me is mine, that's mine, or yours, or your, and then they is theirs, and, all of them. But I was thinking about the pronoun, or we is ours, it's completely different for we. It's strange. It's like all of them kind of sound the same. And then there's we, ours. But the English language for that, what is that? Like, oh, I look over, it's like look over there. But it's like that thing. That's a pronoun, that. It's like, oh, are you done with that? It's like, it's not talking about, are you done with the bagel sandwich? It's like, are you done with that? It's something you say to, you know, talk about something that you've already previously stated, or it's in the physical place that you're pointing to or something. It's like you see him, it's theirs, you know. But what's that? That's? It's like it's that's thing. It's that's ball. It's like, no, that it sounds kind of weird, but it also kind of sounds very, it sounds weird. It's like it belongs to that. That sounds better, but it's just, I think it's just the way you say it, that. It's just, it seems very, you can't say, or you can't put a possessive pronoun or a possessive thing on it that makes it sound good. Like, it belongs to that. It's that's. Or, and then you're talking about it. It's. Like, you know, it's its. That's just how you say it, but you can't really use it for that's. Because it is that's apple. Like, it's just, you don't say that. No one says that. You're just gonna, it is its apple. I mean, I guess you would say it more, because I don't think you would really use that in a regular sentence if you want to say something possessive, because it just doesn't sound right. I mean, I'm sure it is right, like that's, or belongs to that, but it just doesn't sound right in my head, you know. You know what I'm saying. You know. You know. So yeah, it's a strange thing to talk about, but I do have it. So I think I have talked about all of these things on my list. It's only been an hour and 25 minutes, so I'm gonna have to fit like 4.5 hours of footage in like 25 minutes, which is insane, but I'm gonna have to do it at some point. So yeah, thank you all for watching this episode of ViGeeMan's Adventure. I do not know when the next ViGeeMan's Adventure, oh, I hit my mic. My next ViGeeMan's Adventure episode will be. I have to still do some stuff off camera. I have to dig the canals. I'm not digging the canals. This is all basically going to be repeated at the end of the episode. I'm just trying to make it 30 minutes so it's easier on me. But anyway, like, I'm not going to dig the canals until say, you know, I'm not going to dig the canals until afterwards. You know, I'm not going to include the end of the video. I'm just gonna show me looking around it, finally done with everything. But yeah, so I'm not gonna finish the canals on camera. I'm gonna dig those out because that's a lot of planning. And really, I mean, I can speed up everything. I can speed up my building of Venice. I can speed up everything, but I just want to stop somewhere. And I finished digging it out. That was my plan originally. Doesn't matter, we're good. End of story, right? So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of ViGeeMan's Adventure. Bye bye.